Hello everybody, I am Fuzzyface. Welcome back to another edition of this Motorsport Manager career. We're back today with round 14, the Phoenix Grand Prix here in America, the first of two races that we do at Phoenix. This one, the more normal track, and then obviously if you've watched this series before, you will know that we finished the season on the oval track at Phoenix, which is usually a pretty entertaining race. But as it is, we've got the Phoenix Grand Prix coming up today. The engine crucial, rear wing crucial, the front wing crucial as well. Pretty decent parts in our car. Obviously, we did have for quite a while the best rear wing in the game, and for quite a while we had the best engine in the game. We have been overtaken with the engine pretty much between the last Grand Prix and this one. Ferrari look to have made a massive step with their engine. As we see, the green bar has fallen quite below where the Ferrari are, right up at the top, whereas the Mercedes have surpassed us on the rear wing, and the front wing we have the 5th best one overall. So it could be a pretty decent race for us here. As it is with the upgrades, as we went over last episode, we stopped working on new parts for this car this season quite a while ago. We've also stopped working on the car for next season now, because anything we do is not that much of an improvement, and it's going to take a hell of a long time to get the parts performances upgraded to their full potential 70 days after this race, which is going to take us right through to the end of the season. So introducing pretty much anything else is going to be a little bit of a struggle. We're not even going to get all of these up to their full potential before the end of the season, so we're just sort of holding back now. Hopefully we're not too far behind the rest of the cars. Our performance is starting to degrade now as we're not introducing new parts for this Phoenix Grand Prix. Obviously Phoenix is one of the races where if I did have new parts to go in the car, I could introduce them here, but I don't have any. Our performance has sort of taken a step back to the top 3 teams, but hopefully through strategy and maybe some AI mistakes, as we know they have been prone to this season, we can maybe pick up a few places and have a pretty good finish like we did in Japan. Somewhere around these places, 4th or 6th, even somewhere like 6 or 8, I would consider a good result here. As we head into the standings, we are still within touching distance of Ferrari. Don't think we're going to be able to keep up the pace with them. Mercedes, meanwhile, are almost too far back now, as Ferrari and with Vettel and Leclerc are having a really strong finish to the season, whereas it's still pretty much all to play with for the Drivers' Championship. Lewis has taken home 5 wins this season to the 3 of Vettel, but Vettel a little bit more consistent over the season. Mercedes having a lot of reliability problems early on in the season. Hamilton having a crash as well at one point this season, and he got cost a race a couple of races ago where Mercedes went really aggressive on the strategy, made an extra pit stop which didn't work out for them at all. But anyway, we're going to jump in. We're going to select Puma as our sponsor, bonus pool sponsor for this race, and obviously if you've seen this series before, we're going to jump over practice and we'll be back hopefully with both cars in Q3 this time. We've had Lando Norris not get through Q2 in the last 2 races, so hopefully he's going to make it into Q3 this time around. But both guys are still pretty happy with the car, so we'll be back in a second for qualifying. So here we go with the first qualifying lap in Q3. We seemed pretty good in Q2. Q1 was another story entirely. Lando Norris was 13th after Q1. I think he was 7th after Q2, so hopefully we're going to be pretty decent here in Q3 as well. But we seem to be pretty far down off the first sector here. How is Norris doing? He's 4/10ths down over the first sector, as Ocon is doing battle with Bottas out on track at the moment. The track position here, battling against each other on the first qualifying lap. Ocon at the moment not that far behind though. After that second sector, puts himself ahead of Bottas, not that far behind. Norris meanwhile, he's improved as well, so we seem to be a little bit slow over the first sector here, which isn't what usually happens with our car. We were a long way down after the first sector around here, which might not bode too well for the race if we're down in this sector. But obviously we're down in that sector compared to the Ferrari, which we know has made that massive step up with the engine, and this section of track is going to be heavily engine focused, rear wing focused for the downforce as well. So yeah, so 3rd and 6th off the first qualifying lap here in Q3, not too bad at all. So here we go with the second lap in Q3. Hopefully we've got a little bit of room to improve. We've got Hamilton within our sights. Leclerc, Magnussen could possibly go quicker than us. Vettel is going quicker than his first lap here as well. Looks like he's going to set another quicker lap in this second lap, although Hamilton gets to first sector. He's going quicker at the moment, so Hamilton looking like he could snatch pole here from Sebastian Vettel on this final lap. Vettel is going to come across the line. What was Hamilton doing in the second sector? Hamilton slows down a little bit in the second sector, but Ocon is going to come across the line. He's in 4th place at the moment as Leclerc is going a little bit quicker. Ocon doesn't go any quicker. Norris is slower in the second sector than his last lap. What can he get? He's still 7th, whereas Hamilton lost it over the last 2 sectors and stays behind Sebastian Vettel here in Phoenix. So here we go with the grid for the 2020 Phoenix Grand Prix. The front row of the grid, as usual, Vettel and Hamilton pretty close together there in the Ferrari and Mercedes. The second row sees Charles Leclerc in 3rd place, and our driver Esteban Ocon, a really good qualifying session from him, up into 4th place ahead of the Mercedes of Kevin Magnussen in 5th place, and then Danny Rick in the Red Bull 6th place there as well. Lando Norris, our second driver, 7th place in the Williams, 8th place for Pascal Wehrlein in the Red Bull, and then we get the first of the Haas up there in the top 10. Roman Grosjean in 9th place, Valtteri Bottas in 10th in the McLaren rounds out the first 5 rows of the grid. On the 6th row of the grid, we've got Felix Rosenqvist in the Renault starting on the mediums, and Stoffel Van Dorn starting the race on a used pair of softs, even though he could have had a choice of 3 tyre compounds. I'm expecting a lot of the teams outside the top 10 that have the choice of 3 tyre compounds, if they go medium hard or hard medium, they can one stop this race, and that is something we're going to have to watch out for and try and cover as this race goes on. Especially some of the bigger teams like Renault have got a pretty decent car, and Hulkenberg in that seat as well. He could be in for a good race, as could Max Verstappen in the Force India as well. But anyway, as we saw, Hulkenberg is 13th in the Renault, Gasly 14th in the Toro Rosso, Sainz in the Haas 15th. Max Verstappen still struggling for form in qualifying. He had a pretty decent race. I think he finished 6th in the last race in the Force India, but he starts 16th, 1 place ahead of his teammate Sergio Perez. Alex Lynn in the Sauber is 18th, Marcus Ericsson in the other Sauber is 19th, and then Billy Johnson brings up the rear in the Toro Rosso. So hopefully, and look at that from the start, Mercedes look like they've pushed out a reliability update to Kevin, not a reliability, but pushed out a new upgrade to Kevin Magnussen that isn't reliable even at the start of the race. As we saw with the Ferraris jumping with their engine, it looks to be reliable enough. They might have problems as this race goes on here, but hopefully we're going to get a good start here. The red lights are all on and the red lights are out. Ocon gets an amazing start. Has he got the pace here to sort of go after the Ferrari? Look at that amazing pace from Ocon. Has he got the run on to Lewis Hamilton into the first corner? No, he doesn't. But if we can just hold on to this, Vettel is going to get back up underneath. No, he isn't. We won't be able to hold off Vettel for too long, especially around this part of the track. He should be a lot quicker because, as we've seen, Ferrari have got that brand new upgraded engine. Hopefully that is gonna... And Vettel does get past here. He should be able to run away from us if he can stay in front. We're going to go into a left-hander, a right-hander on the chicane. We're upside down on the camera, but Ocon manages to stay ahead here. Hopefully we can stay ahead up the straight. Norris meanwhile is down a few places to 8th place, but Vettel coming under pressure from Daniel Ricciardo sort of holds him up a little bit and allows Ocon to stay in front after the first lap. Ocon staying in front here. Hopefully he's going to be able to do that. We're just going to keep pushing as well. We don't have to look after this soft tyre. Meanwhile with Norris, we're pushing this soft tyre all out. As you can see from the start of the race, we are 3 laps on fuel down, so we are going to have to stay medium for the race. But being 3 laps on fuel down, if each lap of fuel you're down on this track nets you 0.2 of a second, so being 3 laps of fuel down should make him 0.6 of a second quicker. Obviously he doesn't then have the luxury of using high or overtake mode at many points in this race, but as we can see, he's got the run on Charles Leclerc here, and if he can get this stuck around that corner, we should have the quicker pace than that Ferrari with the... I was about to say we should have the pace with the lower fuel load, but it doesn't look like we even have that, as Norris sets his quickest lap of the race by a second over that second lap, and he gets up the inside of Charles Leclerc here. He's up the inside. We're going to be pitting really early on these tyres as well. We are looking about lap 5 for Lando Norris, or heading into lap 5, and the lap after that for Esteban Ocon. We're just going to keep pushing with Ocon. I wasn't expecting him to get the jump on Vettel and Co, but he managed to do it somehow. We've managed to get past there, whereas Hamilton is just running off into the distance. Are we going to see a mistake from Mercedes? Obviously, and we've got one car in the pits already. That is Roman Grosjean getting off these soft tyres really early. And we've got Norris overheating here at the moment, so we're going to switch back to neutral just to make sure he can see out this lap. We're going to do the middle stint on the hard tyre. There's not much risk here other than the guys fixing the parts, so we're just going to keep it at balance. It says it's going to be risky, but we're not going to be fixing any parts, so we shouldn't actually make a mistake here, although there is always a tiny risk of a mistake. Whereas Ocon, we're just going to turn him down now into conserve mode because I want him to go one extra lap, or should we? No, we do want to go one extra lap. I was thinking about trying the undercut, but we're just going to match Vettel, and Magnussen's already into the pit to fix parts here. Has he come straight back out? Where is Magnussen? There he is. We've got Ton Ericsson by mistake, and he's in the pits a very long time here. And Norris is in and out of the pits as well. He's out into 15th place, so he's the lead driver out of all those who have been into the pits. We're going to go for the hard for the middle stint here as well for Ocon, so he's going to get into the pits. We can pretty much push as well now from here. This tyre should last until the pit stop. So can Norris get anything going here on this hard tyre? We do want to conserve, and then we've got a really fresh medium tyre to finish the race on, which is what we're sort of wanting to cover in off. But as we know, Hülkenberg is possibly going to one-stop this race, and if he one-stops, we need to be within about 20 seconds of him, which we sort of are at the moment. So we've sort of jumped all those that are maybe thinking about the one-stop at the moment. And Ocon is in the pits, and he gets in and out without a mistake there. Works out well for him. Ocon 14th, he's in clear air. He's got a little bit of room to push here as well, since he's got a little bit of a fresher tyre than Norris. But maybe we should get both guys pushing for a little bit, just because we're under the... We're still waiting for everyone in front to sort of pit. If we can sort of catch up here. Ocon is obviously quite a long way behind Hamilton. We do want him to stay ahead of Sebastian Vettel without wearing too much of this tyre out though. Is Vettel going to be in this lap? Vettel is into the pit, so we're just going to push here, make sure hopefully we come back out in front, but we're a long way off the pits here. But hopefully we're going to be able to get back out in front of Sebastian Vettel here. Vettel is on his way out of the pits. Are we going to be able to get it? Yes, we are. We stay in front of Sebastian Vettel here, so we're just going to turn down, go into recovery mode, because we've actually got almost 2.5 seconds on Sebastian Vettel, and Norris is not that far behind Vettel now. As Vettel moves on to the hard tyre, he's going to be pushing all out from the... as he's on the hard tyres that are 2 laps fresher than what we've got on at the moment. Whereas Norris in 14th, he's currently trying to hold off Daniel Ricciardo here. So Norris actually made that undercut work as well for him, because he's managed to get ahead of Ricciardo. I think he must have been behind him. I can't even remember. Our brain going blank to what he sort of lined up. Well, I think Norris was about 7th or 8th, wasn't he? We've got other cars in the pits now, so Hamilton gets back out into the lead. Ocon back out into second. Norris, though, has he got past Charles Leclerc here? He stays ahead of Leclerc. I think he was just behind him when he came into the pits. But anyway, that puts Norris up into 4th place here with that little bit of an undercut, so we'll get him looking after the tyres here. The weather is pretty hot, so we can't really afford to push too long at the moment, so we'll just slip into conserve mode, especially with Norris. Although Ocon, it might be a little bit risky because Vettel is closing behind and still pushing that tyre all out. So we're just going to respond to Vettel here by pushing all out ourselves as Vettel gets pretty close. Obviously he's possibly going to have the run on us down here, and are we going to see that on this lap? Is the Ferrari gaining on this section of the track? 0.3 seconds. We seem to be holding it up pretty well, but over that last part, breaking into the corner, Vettel picks up about 1/10 of a second, even whilst his fuel mode is not at the same level as ours. So we're just going to switch to medium. I don't think we're going to hold off Vettel here. So our main focus here with Ocon is not really fighting Vettel. It's more about fighting Charles Leclerc and Daniel Ricciardo, so we just need to hold off for them. We don't really have much hope, although Vettel goes slow around that hairpin corner, falls behind here. So whilst we're cooling the tyre off, as we see, Vettel though shoots back up. He's going to have the run on us here, because I'm not going to risk these tyres overheating. I do want to run our normal strategy, although even in conserve mode, Vettel's still struggling to get past us there, possibly gets caught in the dirty air of our Williams. So should we push a little bit here and try and clear Alex Lynn? Obviously, he is a Ferrari driver. He's under contract with Ferrari, although he was demoted to the Sauber team in favour of Charles Leclerc at about the midpoint of this season. If we can clear these two Saubers that are in front, if we get Ocon pushing, because we do have the room with the hard tyre, obviously, though, if it overheats too much. But then we can always, instead of going for the medium at the end of the race, we can go for another hard tyre if I don't feel like a medium is going to be able to see us through to the end of the race, whereas Norris is just conserving in 11th. Should we get him catching back up here? Because Charles Leclerc is starting to pull in that gap as well. So if we get pushing, if we can clear this Sauber, although Ericsson is coming to the pits, and it looks like Lynn's going to be staying out one more lap here. So we've cleared the two Saubers. Vettel is now stuck. We can cool down this tyre very briefly, get it running out of the too hot zone, so we get a little bit of extra life out of it. It's not going to keep degrading the way it was. Norris is about half a second up this lap than his last lap. He's coming right up onto the back of Sebastian Vettel here as well. So from it not looking the best at the start, we suddenly moved up with some early pit stops to having the chance of having both cars on the podium, although Norris getting past Vettel is going to be hard, although Vettel is still struggling with Alex Lynn here. And it looks like around the hairpin, has he got him? No, he hasn't. So can we get Norris past him? We've got 20 laps remaining. We do have some room to run in high mode if we want down the pit straight. If we can, down there, we make the move on Sebastian Vettel. So we're just going to run like this up the pit straight. Make sure we stay ahead, and then we'll just back up very briefly. We have to move Norris back into medium mode because we don't have room to push. Vettel's going to come back really strong here, so we'll just run in conserve mode, try and keep him ahead. We've got the tyre cool down with Ocon as well, so if we just run in conserve mode, hopefully we can cool this down pretty quickly, although Vettel's going to dive up the inside. Can we make that stick by switching back here? It's going to compromise this tyre, but we might as well keep pushing and go for another hard tyre compound, because we've already used a soft. We've already used two tyre compounds during this race. We don't need to worry about going to the medium if we don't have to, although we're right about the pit window, almost 14 laps, another 5 laps out of this hard tyre, which can go all the way to 0%. We've done 8 laps out of it so far, so we can keep just conserving and then pushing again as this race goes on. We might as well get Ocon try to open this gap up as Vettel comes back again. We do have to watch the fuel with Norris, so running in this high mode might just be the undoing of us running towards the end of the race, because we've got a lot of fuel still to recover as this race goes on. And we'll just try cool down again before we hit the very long half oval that we've got on this track, and we'll switch it back to neutral, and we stay ahead here of the two Ferraris behind us. Vettel and Leclerc battling amongst themselves at the moment, whereas Ocon has caught back up to Billy Johnson and Sergio Perez. Gasly's going a long way in this race, doing the one-stop strategy. He is in a good position to maybe be up into the points at the moment. Billy Johnson is about to come into the pit stop, and we do need to get this tyre cooled down a tiny little bit, but then we might as well just try and get rid of the hard tyre with Norris and then keep him ahead of Sebastian Vettel, and then go on to another hard tyre. Since the weather is so hot here, we do need the tyre, the life in the tyre, because the weather is so hot. A medium's possibly not going to work around here, and we would have to do a lot of running in conserve mode, backup mode, to get it to the end of the race, even more than we're having to do with this hard tyre to keep it cool. As we move back up into 3rd and 4th, because we see some of those cars that are going for the one stop make their first pit stop. And here we go with Norris, who cooled this tyre down a little bit, so he's going to get pushing all out. Ocon, meanwhile, he's going to run a little bit longer on this hard tyre. He's going to go back for the medium. Norris is going to come for the hard tyre, which should easily see him through to the end of the race. Ocon is in a little bit of clear air at the moment. He's got a big gap to Hamilton, who is leading the race pretty comfortably. Hamilton, though, I don't think he should have any worries with his car. Where is Kevin Magnussen, though? Magnussen, all the way down in 20th place. He's still got problems with his car. He must have been forcing upgrades into his car, hoping that he could pick up the slack that he's not been able to quite pick up this season. But it's looking promising here. If we can get past Gasly and hope that we can pick up the pace once again and overtake him at some point, as Norris sets the quickest first sector of the Grand Prix so far, and is about to set his quickest lap here. 28% of this tyre left, and we see Gasly into pit, so we're now running 2nd and 3rd, and the Ferraris are starting to drop a long way back here, so they're battling with each other at the moment, costing themselves a lot of time as we start to pull away here from the two Ferraris. And Norris, quickest first sector of the race again. He's possibly got one more lap left in this car. After this one, 20%. Yeah, we should be able to get one more lap out of this car. Obviously, we've still got quite a bit of fuel to recover. Although we're starting to slow down now as we hit the 20%. We're not going to get any more out of this tyre after this one. So 14 laps remaining. It's still a little bit too risky to go onto that one. So we're going to get onto the hard tyre, which we know we can push all out for pretty much the remainder of the Grand Prix. With Norris, he's going to dive into the pits this lap. We're going to get Ocon pushing from this point forward. Obviously, we do have not much of a gap to Lewis Hamilton, who is conserving at the moment. So if we get going here and try and chase down Hamilton, whether we can actually make that stick or not is another question. Norris is going to dive into the pits. He's going to be coming out in traffic. There are cars that are going to try and get to the end here. Possibly Hulkenberg's getting to the end. He's a car that we have to get back past. Gasly is going to the end, but hopefully we've got enough time on him here. It is a really long pit lane here. Where are we going to come back out? We have a nice pit stop, no mistakes there. Norris gets out into 11th, so he is behind Gasly by quite a margin here, but we need to catch him up. Gasly is going to the end of the Grand Prix here, and Ocon, we need to get pushing with him. He sets the quickest first sector of the race. If we get him in this lap, we're going to let him set the quickest lap of the race, and then he's going to be getting into the pit. So there he goes at 120.7 here. Should we get him back out onto the hardest 12 laps? So he's got a little bit of life. Well, he's got room to get onto that medium tyre and just look after it. Hopefully that's going to get us somewhere close to Hamilton, who might be trying to get to the end of the race here. He's got a lot left in that hard tyre. Norris currently out of position at the moment, pushing all out. He's got Carlos Sainz on a medium tyre in front of him. We should get the run on him around the oval. And there we go, we get back past. We've got Rosenquist now with Norris, Ocon. This tyre is almost gone here, so we're going to have to go into backup mode with it because it's at 8%. We don't want it running out before the end of this lap. And we're coming around the corner now, so back into attack as we come into the pits. Hopefully we're not going to have any mistakes here. And Hamilton has pitted as well. Was that Hamilton? No, that's Magnussen in the pits in 20th place. He's 106 seconds behind. He's way out of position here, so we're just going to have to look after this for just a little bit here. Keep running in high mode. Norris meanwhile is back into 10th place, so having to do with the two stops, and we've still got cars that do have to pit, but obviously Hulkenberg can possibly run to the end of the race. No, I don't think he can. Hulkenberg possibly going 2 stops here, so it's pretty much Gasly that we have to catch. Verstappen, Rosenquist as well are going for the 2 stop, so it's pretty much Pierre Gasly who's running above here. Obviously Ocon's right on him already here, but Gasly is running to the end of the race doing a 1 stop, so he is the car that we have to try and get past as Danny Rick dives into the pit. So can we get the pace on Pierre Gasly? Can we get past him? No, we can. Actually struggling against Pierre Gasly here, so let's just go all out to clear Gasly, and then we can start recovering from this point forward. We can actually just do this because we should be able to stay in front of Gasly pretty easily. Although I say that Gasly was coming back there, and we've now got Norris chasing down here, although we're going to have to cool down these tyres very briefly. And Ocon almost letting Gasly back past there as Vettel is in the pits. Vettel is in the pits, so how far ahead is Ocon going to be, and how far ahead is Norris going to be? Vettel comes out of the pits. He must have had a really quick couple of laps as Norris comes out behind. Vettel is on the medium tyre, so he should be a lot quicker here. But if we get back into attack mode, can we catch Sebastian Vettel here? Leclerc going a little bit longer on that hard tyre as well. Ocon currently running 4th. Hulkenberg possibly has to, well, he does have to pit. And Norris is in 7th, right behind Sebastian Vettel. We've still got Gasly to pass, who's quite a long way up the road as well. What is Gasly doing? 122s. We're about 1.6 seconds quicker. Hamilton is in the pits. He's going to get back out into 3rd place. Hulkenberg and Leclerc, though, do have to pit here. And we're just holding on with Ocon. He should be pretty comfortable for that 2nd place. Whereas Norris, meanwhile, we're just going to get him backing up just in case we come under pressure later on in this race from Leclerc. Is Leclerc going to be pitting this lap? He's out in front at the moment. Have we got enough time? So maybe we should just keep pushing until Leclerc actually does pit. We want to maybe get in front, although it's not looking like we might be able to get that to stick for Norris. And Leclerc stayed out once again here. Leclerc still out on this hard tyre. He's getting a long way out on this hard tyre. And we can't keep pushing this tyre all out. Although we can do. But we might as well try cooling it down. Just in case. Norris is 20 seconds there. Don't know whether that's going to be enough to get out in front of Charles Leclerc. Ocon though on for the podium here. Norris possibly going to finish this race maybe in 4th now. We've got the back marker Kevin Magnussen in all sorts of trouble this race. But there we go. Leclerc is into the pits. Ocon goes past him. Is Norris going to get the run? It looks like Norris is going to get out in front now. So if we just keep in backup mode until Leclerc starts to come back, then we can switch back into attack mode. We might need to run in low mode for a little bit during this race as well. Whereas Ocon, he's got 3 seconds on Sebastian Vettel at the moment. Only a few laps remaining. We've still got to catch Gasly though with Norris as well. Gasly is the main threat at the moment, as Leclerc is almost 5 seconds behind. So if we can cool this tyre down, then we can get pushing once again and try and chase down Pierre Gasly, who's doing 122. We're still quicker than him at the moment. So as we move outside the red zone, we're going to go back into attack mode as Charles Leclerc is closing that gap pretty rapidly on that fresh medium tyre. Can we stay ahead of Charles Leclerc here? That is the question heading into these final few laps. I think Ocon is pretty much safe. Magnussen is in the pits once again. Still hasn't fixed those parts. It's his 3rd pit stop, 130 seconds behind his teammate. But where is Norris? Norris is currently in 5th place. Are we chasing down Pierre Gasly now? 1 second to Pierre Gasly. Can we speed up enough to get past him? Can we speed up enough to stay ahead of Charles Leclerc as we move into the final 4 laps of this race? This tyre getting pretty hot, but we need to clear Pierre Gasly somehow, who's on for... Oh! And Norris has cut out most of the track there. And he's under investigation for cutting a corner. Just as we said, we need to find some way past him. Norris cuts across this corner altogether. I've never really seen a cut corner in this game from a team, but are we going to be handy? No action taken. No action taken. We cut out. We gained almost 2 seconds there. So we're going to just try cool this tyre down briefly. We should hopefully be able to hold off Gasly. Cooling this tyre off. No action taken for cutting out a corner and getting an overtake. What? How did that even happen? So Norris is up into 4th and Leclerc is going to be struggling behind Gasly now. So that is hopefully going to hold Norris onto that 4th place, as we can go conserve mode now with this tyre as well. This medium tyre should run to the end of the race. We can actually get back in high mode. Although we've got problems with the rear wing, although it's going to be able to last to the end of the race, I feel. So if we just switch here, Hamilton's 10 seconds up the road. What is this going to do to the Drivers' Championship? 9 points between Vettel and Hamilton now heading into the final 3 races if things remain the same. 1 point between us and Ferrari as well. We've managed to close that gap up since we're ahead of Vettel and Leclerc with both of our cars, although if Leclerc can get past Gasly somehow, but it's looking like that might not happen. Although we say that and Leclerc closes up that gap pretty rapidly. Has Leclerc got the pace? He's obviously got the fresher medium tyres on, but he's struggling behind the Honda-powered Toro Rosso at the moment. But if we can just keep this till the end of the race, these mediums are pretty much wearing away, although we're about to go on to the final lap here. So we'll just run conserve mode. We're not really under any pressure from Vettel. We've got room to push with the fuel as well. Norris is going to be able to recover this fuel as well. We've got life in the tyre as well. Norris is going to recover. So it's just whether we can hold this tyre up to the end of the race. 2.6 seconds behind is Vettel, so we're going to run in overtake mode just to make sure we can hold Vettel off to the end of the race. Hamilton has got about half a lap to go to confirm this win here. Norris, an amazing race from him. We're finishing ahead of the Ferraris with each of our cars respective to their Ferrari counterpart, which is absolutely amazing. If we can still somehow hold on to the constructors this season, it's going to be a massive result for us as Hamilton wins the race. He comes across the line. Ocon, his tyres are almost at the 10% drop-off mark here, and he just crawls across the line there. Where is Vettel? Vettel has just gone in behind him, 3 seconds behind. So he got past the finish line, had Ocon just about before his tyres wore away. Norris is going to get this 4th place as well. He's recovered that fuel really well throughout the race. We did a really good job of working out the fuel there. Absolutely perfect on regaining that 3 laps of fuel. Leclerc gets 5th, Ricciardo gets 6th, an amazing performance from Gasly as well. He gets 7th, the only car using that one stop. I thought a lot of the cars outside the top 10 would do this and wreck a lot of races for the cars up there fighting for the top 6. It didn't turn out that way though. We get Hulkenberg in the points in 8th, Verline in the Red Bull 9th, and the McLaren of Van Dorn picking up 1 point in the McLaren. Where did Bottas come? 16th, 3 pit stops, so Bottas struggling here. Magnussen really struggling, and rumours still swirling that he's going to be replaced at the end of the season. Who by? We don't know where Kevin Magnussen will end up after this season is another question. We won't get into that until the season preview for season 4. And we get Lando Norris. It says he got a 10-second time penalty. It doesn't look like it's been applied though. So I don't know whether that's a bug with the game in that he cut the corner. It said no action taken, but he's got a 10-second time penalty, which doesn't seem to have been applied because he should be behind Charles Leclerc. Unless Leclerc fell back quite a bit, but no, he didn't. He wasn't that far behind. So yeah, so it's worked out well for Norris either way here. So we get Ocon onto the podium. We move on to the drivers' standings with 215 points. There's a full win behind Sebastian Vettel now, but Lewis Hamilton, who is looking really strong in himself. The Mercedes not looking as strong as a team than the Ferrari, but Hamilton looking strong in that lead Mercedes. Looking a lot stronger at the moment than Sebastian Vettel heading into the final 3 races. And we are just 3 points behind the Ferrari team heading into the final 3 races. So it's just between us and Ferrari for the constructors. I don't think Mercedes are going to be able to pull that back. And then we've got Red Bull having a really poor season this season. McLaren and Renault fighting it out, although McLaren are pretty clear at the moment. Renault pretty much by themselves at the moment. Then we've got this battle for 7th between Alfa Romeo, Force India and Haas. Haas usually qualify really well but can't put it together in a race, and as usual we've got Toro Rosso, who will finish bottom of the pile for the 3rd season in a row. We've got a new trait for Esteban Ocon. Hopefully that's not an injury. Now he's got a rival with a driver. I would never have that idiot Lewis Hamilton as a teammate. Fair enough, so I guess that means Esteban Ocon is not going back to the Mercedes parent team. He's sort of on loan with us at the moment, storyline wise, from Mercedes. He's still with the Mercedes team overall, whereas Lando Norris is still with the McLaren team overall, sort of storyline. But can't do anything about it. We came 1st overall in that race, £852,000 going out of the bank account. And did we have an F2 race this weekend? No, we didn't. So as we move on, we'll just answer the interview from Autosport with Mark Hughes, Charles Leclerc's agent, and we'll just go for this one. We'll say that one. We've got pretty much everyone buttered up, although we're not really going to change our drivers this season. We're one of the only teams who are not going to really be involved in the driver market because Ocon and Norris have been steady this season. This is their 1st season together, and we're going to be keeping them for as long as we can until Mercedes decide that they want Ocon back. But there we go, 2nd, chasing down Ferrari, closing that gap a little bit this race. We've got Rio coming up next where the engine is crucial and the rear wing, so it could be a decent race for us. And then we've got Dubai where engine is crucial as well. And then obviously we finish at Phoenix where engine and rear wing is crucial. So hopefully that's a good race for us as well. We do have potential of sneaking this Constructors' Championship somehow this season, even though we're starting to fall behind with the car. But we'll have to see how we do in the next race, which is going to be a rainy race, which we usually do pretty well in as well. So hopefully that's going to work out well for us when we head to Brazil in the next episode. But anyway, that is it for this episode. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff. But I will see you down the road in Rio de Janeiro, not Sao Paulo, in Brazil for the next Grand Prix. And goodbye.